Good morning. I'm Lori Northrup, and I would like to welcome everyone to the Sound Horse Conference of 2014. And we're very, very proud to have it right here in Tennessee.
What are we going to look like riding this wonderful walking horse 3 years from now? What is that horse going to look like? Where are we going to be as an industry?
We've got a choice of self-regulation. Either we're going to do it or we're going to have it done for us.
As most of you know, the PAST Act has been introduced into Congress. I'll get into it a little bit about what it does, but first I want to talk about the reasons why. I think we all know why we're here and why the PAST Act was introduced. It's soaring. It's soaring. It's been going on for way too long. It's chemical soaring that you see here. It's pressure shoeing. It's the use of the stacks that are used to aid and abet soaring and hide soaring. It's the bands that are being used to soar horses and tear horses' hooves off. It's the pressure shoeing that's going on in the flat-shod divisions of the walking horse, the spotted saddle horse, and the racking horse divisions. It's the fact that the Horse Protection Act has not succeeded in ending soaring after over 40 years.
Why has this failed over all these years? In large part, as we shared, actually, Senator Tidings shared with the Tennessean and with the news, is the chronic political influence peddling.
Before we know it, we have as big a problem with soaring in the flat-shod ranks as we had in the padded ranks. Right now, the emphasis seems to be on the pads and the action devices. Obviously, the PAST Act is a big thing. It's getting all the attention. Everybody's looking at that. And, of course, the idea is not so much that we think that the pads or the chains may cause problems. I believe they can. I believe they do. But rather that we can use these implements to hide soaring that is occurring, that we can use them as a method of avoiding detection of soaring. And so we're paying not so much attention to the flat-shod horse at this point, even though in my experience the problem with soaring is as rampant or more in the flat-shod horse as it is in the padded performance horse.
It may not be the biggest problem this country has, but it is a problem. It's a real and a serious problem. It may be a problem more so because of the effect it has on the people who do it and approve of it than the actual damage done to the horses. To intentionally inflict pain on an animal for any kind of gratification dulls the conscience and can lead to many other problems. It appears that soaring the horses may become a thing of the past, but considering the last 43 years and the way it's been dodged, I wouldn't count on it.
Because I feel that there's a lot of people that don't understand the definition of soaring. I've noticed many people say different things, and as you can see here in the Horse Protection Act, what the definition of a sore horse is: to use irritating blister agent, burn, cut, laceration, have a tack, nail, screw, chemical agent injected by a person on a horse, any substance or device being used by a person on a horse. But a big part that people don't realize is this last part right here. A person has engaged in a practice involving a horse.
But inflammation is the key. And that's what we're doing when we're soaring horses. We're creating inflammation, whether we're doing it chemically or we're doing it traumatically with pressure or another means of actually injuring the hoof.
So the bottom line, soaring is anything done by a human, deliberately or even accidentally, to a horse that will cause it pain.
Well, let's don't become desensitized as to what we're talking about. It's beyond sore. Just waking up and getting out of bed, I know what sore means. You know, I played a little sport, and I know what it means to be sore. What we're talking about here, folks, is not that kind of sore.
You know, it's like, well, nobody's been able to show that the shoe itself causes soaring. Okay, the shoe maybe not, but the management process around this will do it, and I'll show you how it happens. Here's a horse on stacks. You look at the back of that. See that wrinkle? Right there. That is not normal. Horses don't get wrinkles. Okay, so you take that wrinkle, you throw a chain on that, throw a little bit of lubricant, you know, throw some sand in there, start rubbing on that rascal, you know, it's going to become a scar. You may or may not have intended to do that, but now what you got, you sored a horse, because that's bad management. And that's just as illegal as anything else, because that's even more illegal, because that's soring out of stupidity. Well, if you're a horseman, you're not supposed to be stupid. This is your charge. You're supposed to take care of this thing.
We focus on a trust with our horse, and when we use pain to influence our horse, that trust is broken. And
So the industry says we aren't soaring anymore. You know, 98.5 compliance. And the chain doesn't soar either. Well, then my question is, what's causing those scars? Do they just break out in a pasture like a virus? This industry can't continue to have it both ways. You either are soaring or the chain's soaring. Make up your mind.
No gloom and doom here, folks. You're riding the best. You are the best. That's why you're in this room. Then we have the rest.
This is isolated to only a few individuals in this industry. You know, 98.5% are compliant. Well, here's the other 1.5%, single file. Feel free to browse through it.
The stigma of soaring has given people the idea that all a walking horse is good for is going around the ring, and going around the ring, stepping high and soar. We know that's not true, but that's the image that the world had. Tracy Boyd at the Breeders' Association said it. You've lost the public. You've got to get it back.
we cannot repair the past. We cannot fix the image of the walking horse that we have right now. The only thing we can do is build towards a future where we are no longer viewed like that, and it is viewed as a thing of the past. Soaring can be gone. We can get rid of it, and the only way to really get rid of it is to raise a generation of children who grow up to be adults who find it to be unacceptable.
I'm a second generation trainer. You know, my dad was a pretty good trainer, and I was pretty fair at it. I had a amateur world champion, amateur reserve world champion, and won several other ribbons at the celebration, several state championships. But I can tell you, I never had a horse that would perform and win without having something done to its feet to respond to the pad and the chain. That's the bottom line.
You can train a horse to walk to a point, but you're not going to get the deep walk.
Are you going to win if you don't?
You're not going to win if you don't soar.
Is soaring necessary? Pain is a complex sensation. And you all know, and different individuals respond to pain in different ways. You know, like some people like hot, spicy food. I don't. Other people, you know, just can't tolerate it. It's the same sensation, same chemicals. One person acts one way, one person responds another. Or something that's painful at one time might not even be noticed if there's enough distraction. The trainers learned that with stewarding. You know, you put a alligator clip inside the horse's mouth or on his ear or under the tail. They don't notice when somebody's palpating on it.
We took these bit burrs that have been used under the girth in various places on the saddle to get horses through inspection.
Better, but the point of the matter is that horse isn't going to do the step they like in the show ring without having something done to it. Even if it's Gojo or kerosene, it's that in conjunction with the shoe and with the chain to get that reaction.
And with the idea that they're coming through inspection to get through inspection. They've already been conditioned. If they've been sored, they've been conditioned, so they're coming through there. The horse already knows what they're supposed to do. They just got to get it to hold still, be still.
The pad, again, the package. This is where the emphasis is. And if there's an advantage for people that want to soar horses, particularly pressure soaring horses, then this seems to be a better way to hide the evidence of that.
Oops, sorry.
That's okay.
I handed this to the editorial board after he examined the lady's tennis shoe, and he proceeded to drop it on their lovely wood table, and then said, thank God the cover we had on the table was removed. It was glass, and we wouldn't have that now. I said, well, that weighs less than a lady's tennis shoe. It just lands a lot louder. as when he picked it up, he grunted. 6-ounce chain, which is now permitted.
The only way you're going to get the soaring stopped is to get the pads and the chain. That's the only way.
And that's because that's what's
That's what's they got to have, the pad and the chains to do the soaring.
I've never been in a training barn, a walking or racking training barn, that didn't have a big jar of Gojo on display. The most common form of or method of soaring horses, topically applying irritants to the skin. Mustard oil, croton oil, kerosene's very common. And it always amazes me the ingenuity of some of the trainers. I have a client who swears by bacon grease, and he swears that the liquid that comes to the top after a couple of years, if applied to the pasture of a horse, will put it on its knees.
It became crystal clear to me that, okay, this is a game, okay? Horses, you know, and I try to listen to everybody. Horses are being soared that are being brought in, but the game is to get through inspection. If I can get through inspection, I can show my horse.
This industry embraces violators. They reward violators. They put their names in stone until they get caught on TV, and then they grind it off. It's a sad situation that this industry has people that don't have enough faith in their own product to sell on its own merits.
Your hands are full of blood. Wash and make yourselves clean. Take your evil deeds out of my sight. Stop doing wrong. Learn to do right. Seek justice. Defend the oppressed. Take up the cause of the fatherless. Plead the case of the widow. Come now, let us reason together, says the Lord. Though your sins are like scarlet, they shall be white as snow. Though they are red as crimson, they shall be like wool. If you are willing and obedient, you will eat the good things of the land. But if you resist and rebel, you will be devoured by the sword. For the mouth of the Lord has spoken.
I'm just going to say a few things about what's happened in my life over the past year, but it's really a progression of my entire life because I'm 34 years old and I've been in the walking horse industry for 34 years. And the first memory I have in life is not riding a Tennessee walking horse or being put on a horse, but it's standing in the middle of the celebration ring in the 11 and under class in 1984 and watching Ebony Go Boy's Dream win the 11 and under World Grand Championship and thinking how bad, I was 5 years old, I wanted to win a World Grand Championship or a World Championship. And so I spent the next 19 years of my life thinking that was the most important thing in the world. And I won 8 more World Championships. And today I want to tell you that what those World Championships mean to me is absolutely nothing. The ribbons from those World Championships are in a landfill. That will not fulfill you. Because at the end of the day, from all of those World Championships and what those horses went through, it will bring you nothing but emptiness, sorrow, and pain.
So this act was introduced in April of last year by Congressman Ed Whitfield of Kentucky and Congressman Steve Cohen of here in Tennessee. It's the Prevent All Soaring Tactics Act, or the PAST Act, H.R. 1518 and S. 1406 in the Senate. It was introduced to close the loopholes that have allowed soaring to continue for over 40 years. It prohibits the use of the stacks, the chains, the bands, the heavy shoes that are all used in 3 specific breeds to soar horses. The PAST Act only affects small segments of 3 gaited breeds where the violators are soaring horses and harming the reputation of the entire gaited horse industry and, in fact, the entire horse industry. This is why you have groups like the American Horse Council actively supporting passage of the PAST Act.
Well, maybe I've heard commented on the Hill a few times for those who are not supportive of the PAST Act, that they think the private sector veterinarians should somehow be in this loop because they don't think USDA veterinarians have the training.
Well, the issue actually is that the private practitioner can't do the job to enforce the Horse Protection Act because they are not a licensed DQP unless they are.
We stay well informed of what we're supposed to do. We have very strict guidelines of what we do for inspections.
I began my relationship with the USDA in December of 2007 when we were asked to bring thermography back into the inspection process. So from that point forward, we collected thermographic and we've collected radiographic data to correlate that data from inspections. So from that, we wanted to know, what are they doing? But more importantly, what methods are being used to hide these tactics from inspection?
So as you can see, there's an uphill battle, and it's going to take a lot of people, because the people that support soaring are working diligently on the Hill to try and convince congressmen and senators that the Blackburn bill is the best.
Recently, there has been an alternative, I call it a sham bill to the PAST Act, called H.R. 4098, introduced by Representative Marsha Blackburn from here in Tennessee. It has, I believe, 11 co-sponsors, including all of the Republican delegation from the state of Tennessee. It creates, let you know a few of the things that it does. It creates one industry HIO, instead of having USDA certify several. One industry HIO that's led by people that are chosen by the Kentucky and Tennessee State Agriculture Commissioners and the Walking Horse Trainers Association, all groups that have been extremely effective at ending soaring. That HIO will decide how it will fill vacancies. So in other words, once that initial panel that's been appointed by those groups decides to resign, the HIO itself will decide who gets to sit on it. And it will establish its own conflict of interest rules. It'll determine whether sitting on this HIO board will be a conflict of interest or not. It revokes all of the other HIO certifications, including those that are doing a good job and have a very high compliance rate with the HPA. And it purports to require that scientific inspection methods be used, which would likely eliminate digital palpation as a primary means of detecting soaring. The reality is that there is currently numerous scientific methods being used. We'll hear about some of those later, I'm sure, from our friends at the USDA, by the USDA in the field, and they are routinely rebuffed by the industry. The Blackburn bill, H.R. 4898, does not do anything to address the use of the equipment that's used to soar horses, the stacks, the chains, and the shoes. Whitfield's bill, the PAST Act, does. It does not eliminate the failed programs of industry self-regulation, but in fact codifies it and makes it permanent forever. It does not increase the civil or criminal penalties. The PAST Act does. It does not do anything about the actual soaring of a horse. Right now, it's perfectly legal to soar a horse all day long, as long as you don't take it to a show or a sale or an auction. That's the only place that it's illegal right now, under the Horse Protection Act. State of Tennessee law is different, but under the Horse Protection Act, it's only illegal if you're out in public.
Also, I had about an hour meeting sometime later with Congresswoman Blackburn with no positive results. I have a lot of respect for her in Tennessee. We don't pay an income tax in the state of Tennessee because of her. She's done a lot of good things. And I was really bothered by the fact that she would come out in support of her bill and not support the PAST Act. And I was really concerned about her reputation as a friend and as a pastor. I met with her. And I pleaded with her. I said, you know, you don't want to be known for the very person who could have ended soaring in the walking horse industry, and you didn't.
Now, in the Blackburn bill, they want objective science.
Oh, and by the way, this is objective testing already. It's not been mandated in any bill. The USDA decided to do it themselves. So thermography initially was used as a screening tool. I began my relationship with the USDA in December of 2007 when we were asked to bring thermography back into the inspection process. So from that point forward, we collected thermographic and we've collected radiographic data to correlate that data from inspections. So from that, we wanted to know, what are they doing? But more importantly, what methods are being used to hide these tactics from inspection?
She was talking about it's going to kill the industry. I said, no, it's not. It's just going to kill 10%. 90% is very healthy. It's just not right here. But I said it can be reborn. And there is hope for it. And she showed me her bill, and I said, this is just a fox watching the hen house. It's more of the same.
Now, one of the questions that the Tennessean asked was, what about the vets? Aren't they stopping this? I said a lot of vets want to stop it, but in many cases, the vets are actively involved in it. We have a record of some vets that have tickets for soaring horses. We have vets that are assisting the trainers and telling them how to soar the horses and how to get them through inspection. And we have vets that actually own soar horses, as evidenced by their violations and their federal cases and their tickets, which seem to shock the newspaper.
Maybe we should consider looking at this a little differently and going along with what some of the other breeds do. And instead of always having to rely on proof that the horse has been soared, maybe we should say, hey, this horse is fit to show or this horse is not fit to show. Because what we have to do is try to get some objective information to be able to say yes or no. It can't always be about trying to catch somebody in the act of soaring. It's got to be about looking at the horse and saying, I'm sorry, this horse is not fit to show. I'm not accusing you of anything. Or, surprise, half a golf ball falls out. We know what's going on.
I have a question for you guys. And who is responsible to enforce the Horse Protection Act? We all are. All of us. Not just USDA. I get that a lot. You need to do this, you need to do that. Yeah, we're trying to do the best we can with the minimum amount of money we have, but it takes everybody to enforce the Horse Protection Act and stop soaring. These two individuals, guess how they ended up being penalized? Guess how USDA, the Office Inspector General, HSUS, found out that they were soaring horses? They're friends. Friends. A DQP found them, his horse sore. Found the bolts in the horse's feet. His workers, they called my office. So it was internal. It wasn't us. It wasn't HSUS. Everyone helped in the end, but that's how it started. So you see there is a change, and people are starting to realize that they don't want to be part of this anymore. They don't want to soar horses. So that's what you guys got to realize, that it's everyone. It's really important that we're all doing everything we can.
I said we're at a crossroads. Somebody's got to do something, and do it now, or this is going to get out of hand. And we're going to lose everything that we've built. Everybody's caught in a maddening cycle. The trainer has to eat. He doesn't want to lose his customer. He has to win a show. Somewhere, we've got to stop and reevaluate all at the same time. Everybody is in denial. It's just like, don't tell me the truth, I like the lie. I'd rather live the lie. And if you tell them the truth, they're going to hate me. But I just decided, I said my father decided, and all my family decided, enough is enough.
Just looking back through the years, you blame the trainers and you blame the industry, but I have to ride the fence on that, because what Clay said a while ago, made a lot of sense. I was born into it. I never knew any difference until I started training horses on my own and moved away from home. I thought that was the norm. I thought that was just how you had to do things, and making a living and providing for a family is a key thing. You know, I've had to give up a lot, but I don't regret any of it. So.
Well, it's kind of like me. You're around it so much. You're around the soaring and what goes on with it so much. You don't really think about it. You don't really think about what it's doing to the animal.
And so that's when it really started eating at me. That I had helped to perpetuate this lie. You know, at the trial, I told the truth, but I wasn't asked the critical question. I didn't volunteer it.
Will testify that I gave my life, my blood, my sweat, and my tears to the horse industry. And when I walked away in 2000, it literally took everything from me. Financially, physically, emotionally, and spiritually. But like so many who grew up in the industry, especially in Tennessee, you grow accustomed to the abuse. Exposure to most anything in life breeds a tolerance for it, an indifference to it. Soaring was just part of the industry. And like the rest, I spoke the industry propaganda. And I turned a blind eye when needed to stay in the good graces of the industry because I'd seen what they do to people who speak the truth.
I don't know that anybody will ever experience, and I can't explain it to you, but even though I knew for a long time really what was right and didn't want to admit it to myself, things changed overnight for me. And I really saw what the rest of the world saw. I really wanted to be more vocal in public, and I apologize it took me so long, but I was afraid because I knew that my whole world would fall apart, and I was right. And the good thing I'd say today, though, is the decisions I made to come forward and talk about what really goes on in the walking horse industry and how rampant the different things are that people don't want to recognize and don't want people to really see and know what's going on.
Got out of the padded training business and started looking at other avenues. In the meantime, I had been following some stuff that Marty had been saying and really agreed with everything that Marty had to say and really felt sorry for Marty because of the attacks that he had gotten. And because I knew Marty was telling the truth. And I can tell you now, Marty's told the complete truth because I told the complete truth when I wrote the letter I did to Representative Whitfield, and not a single person has called me and said, "Carl, you've not told the truth."
And speaking in the newspaper is not a decision I do not regret. But it has been a journey that I was totally not prepared for, nor do I want anyone's sympathy for my trials. I believe trials are good for us. They make us stronger. And today I'm free to speak the truth about soaring, and I'm a happy man.
I'm Jackie McConnell, and I've been a walking horse trainer. I would love to apologize for the embarrassment I've caused my whole family, and I want to apologize to all the horses I've ever trained.
What's your advice for other people who are looking at a future without chemicals and chains and pressure shoeing? Where do they need to go to be able to stay with this sound and natural movement?
Natural horsemanship and classic dressage. And in classic dressage, all the appointments with the classic dressage horse teach this horse how to carry himself in a frame where he can balance himself.
I feel like we have made a lot of progress since I've been in my position. Still, we have a lot more work to do.
There's a lot of stuff that's going to have to be done. We're going to have to teach a bunch of people that love this animal how to train this animal and train it in a way that's friendly to the animal. Going to have to teach the horses how to carry themselves different and the people how to carry the horse different.
Last year we introduced a program called the Now That's a Walking Horse program. The purpose of this is to promote the versatility, temperament, and athleticism of one of the world's greatest horse breeds.
VOSH has the Journey program that recognizes individual journeys and accomplishments in equine education. The VOSH Journey program, even if one doesn't ride and just wants to learn, there is a recognition program. Saddle time, pleasure riding to include trail riding, field trial, arena, public demonstrations. The list is too large to put up here.
The Humane Society of the United States, my employer, supports the humane and responsible use and enjoyment of true horsemen and natural horsemanship. We are in no way against horse ownership. Some of our detractors, particularly some in the walking horse industry, have tried to use this false motto that the HSUS is about eliminating horse ownership and horse riding. Nothing could be further from the truth. In fact, we encourage and reward it.
That seemed to be the padded horse industry's only defense, to slander someone's character. The majority of the leaders were trying to keep soaring contained and appear respectable. But it was obvious that the industry was never going to grow past it, and I was disillusioned that no one could see the potential for the growth based on a sound industry.
If the pad and chain goes, so be it. I have enough faith in this horse. He's going to sell on his own merit. And the people that truly love the Tennessee walking horse and are not caught up in this shoeing war will continue to love the Tennessee walking horse and will continue showing the Tennessee walking horse, riding the Tennessee walking horse, owning the Tennessee walking horse, and the horse will survive in spite of these people that support soaring.
That's it. I'm telling you, you can spend a fortune. You can spend a fortune with marketing firms. And you can spend a fortune in writing advertisement firms. But let me tell you something, folks. You ride a nice, flat-foot, head-shaking, walking horse, he will market himself for you. He will do that for you. All you got to do is ride him. When everybody's watching Tennessee play basketball, you need to be out there riding your horse, getting him in gear, teaching him how to use his top line, teaching him how to use his mouth, teaching him how to round out, teaching him how to connect the dots with your body. So they're looking for a horse that's going to walk, shake his head, even in gait, in time, and you're going to hear this tomorrow so much you're going to be sick of hearing it. And they're looking for a horse that can win. They're looking for a really quality horse.
Victory in the show ring is something that you achieve with your horse. You don't just find a new horse because that one's not winning you ribbons, and that's something that we really want to push for children of this era.
Later, I happened to be traveling to Germany to go judge a horse show there in Wimding. And over a 3 or 4 day period, there were about 400 entries. There were no pads, there were no chains, there was no soaring. I'm not really even sure if they had inspections or not. But there were more horses than I'd ever imagined. People pole bending, barrel racing, trail obstacle, rail classes. It was absolutely amazing. And it really changed my perspective on seeing the walking horse industry instead of from the inside out, from the outside in.
I truly believe that the Tennessee walking horse is America's horse of the future. If we treat it well, reward people who are doing great things with them, and put soaring behind us. Thank you.
And it has cleaned up some. I'm 46 years old and grew up in the industry, and it's changed quite a bit. I give everybody credit because they have absolutely pulled out all the stops to make it better. But
because of your efforts, there is a new and a sound market for the Tennessee walking horse beyond the narrow confines of the pads and chains. And now that market has grown to encompass nationally and internationally 90% of the walking horse industry. So from the bottom of my heart, I say thank you for making a difference. There is now a light at the end of a long, dark tunnel. And I would say a new era in this great breed has begun.
If we continue and we continue to grow, we're going to explode. We should have been there 25 years ago. But we're getting there with great people coming on and great clinicians coming on and understanding how wonderful this horse is. We're going to make it.
So turn on the lights. Keep them on. Keep them bright. And when you do, the darkness scatters.
You ride the best, you are the best, and we are going to be the best, bar none.